No shortage of bones laying around here. No shortage of cactus either. Actually, there's no shortage of thorns anywhere. You know, out here in this bush. It's kind of cool though. It's always cool to see a new country. I love it. Love it. Yeah, so we are we're west of Austin. That's why, because I remember I ran around Austin years ago and hills around there, and this ground and forest looks familiar. Not like it's different than when I was in Uvalde. That was more hot and that fine powdered red dirt. And yeah, it's a little different. It's cool. Another quick mention, I've had a shit pile of awesome, friendly Texans here on the channel. Reaching out, whoa, I'm on top of an ant's nest. No way. Okay, I gotta move. Fire ants, shit. All right, there we go. Quick correction. I guess I just gotta watch for little scorpions to come up and sting me next, right? Anyways, what was I saying? There's so many people from this great state of Texas following the channel. And so many of you kind people out there have invited me to come and meet, have dinner, a beer, coffee, or whatever. And believe me, I wish, you know, maybe one year, one time I should do that. Maybe grab Sarah and go on tour, just drive around and meet people, make videos talking. Wouldn't that be great? I'd love to do that. But I'm kind of, I'm held hostage. I don't have a vehicle and I'm with two friends. And we're on a mission to get a turkey, which isn't quite working out for these guys. Oh well, sometimes these things happen, right? Sometimes that's the way it goes. It's like the roll of the dice sometimes. I mean, I was lucky. Oh, yeah, I was lucky. I went 100% guiding. My guiding career up north, but there was a huge thunders for all you turkey experts. There was huge rains. Apparently thunder and lightning all night long 2 nights ago. And then no rain yesterday, but kind of overcast and cool. Everything's wet, lots of water. And nothing's gobbling, which means for you non-hunters that male turkeys were not gobbling. Making, you know, going. And then did see one hen. I think we've seen one Jake yesterday. No, 4. And anyway, then today we went to another property where apparently there's nothing but turkeys. Saw everything on that property. I mean everything, including zebras. I saw zebras today, kudu, black buck, bunch of other stuff I forget the name of. Some huge hogs. I'll show them to you, hopefully, in this video. And we never saw or heard one turkey. No, we saw one Jake over there. For me, I don't care, because, you know, the way I look at it, it's like when you die, I'm not going to look back when I die and go, oh, if we'd only got the fellas a couple of turkeys that one day way back then in Texas. More like, thank God we all went on that trip and hung out with each other and created those memories. That's me. So if we don't get a turkey, would I be upset? I don't care. It's a bonus, but Rourke, he's got like tunnel vision. He wants a turkey so bad. And it's his favorite hunt of the year. I feel for him. And my buddy, Bragg, he's like a turkey assassin. He loves it too, and he puts the pressure on himself to get his friends a turkey, where I try to calm him down and say, dude, don't worry about it. But anyway, it's not working out. And then today we were ripping along in the side-by-side coming back, and we saw about, I don't know, 18 Jakes, which a Jake is a immature male turkey. I think we have one more day left here. Will it happen? I don't know. But anyways, they're in there trying to figure out what to do. And I'm out here gonna do this for a little bit. But anyway, all you people here in Texas following my channel, thank you so much for all the kindness offered. It's so appreciated. Man, oh man, do I wish I could take up every single one of you on those kind offers. I wish I could. But this particular trip, I can't, damn it. I hope that wind I can't get out of the wind. I can't find anywhere out of the wind. Nowhere. So we're gonna have to wing it, and hopefully the wind's not licking the camera too bad. While we hear some important voices, right? Important voices. Where are we? Where are we? Why this one ear? You gotta be kidding, not again. Okay, here we go. This is titled, A Correctional Officer Wrote In. Steve, my name is Rick, and I'm 48 years old, and I've worked in corrections for 24 years, and I've always been a straight shooter. Every story I've told has never been twisted or exaggerated at all. I can't stand people who exaggerate and twist the truth. I've been watching your channel for about a year now, and I appreciate what you're doing. It takes guts. I grew up in a military family, and at the time of my incident, we lived in military housing just off the base. I now live in southwestern Oregon, but at the time, in 1979, I lived in Massachusetts. Behind the military housing where I lived was a whole lot of woods. I'd never seen anyone go back there except me and some of the other kids I played with. I was 8 at the time, and I told my neighbor friend, who was about the same age, to get his bike so we could go to our spot in the woods, which has a trailhead that led into the woods, just a 5-minute bike ride down a dirt road. I took off a minute or two before him, and I arrived at the trailhead, and I set my bike down and began walking up the trail, which went up a small hill, then down into the dark forest. I like to practice being stealthy when I walked in the woods so I don't scare animals because I like to see them. Well, as I walked quietly up the beginning of the trail, a Bigfoot was walking the same trail in the opposite direction coming toward me from the forest. And we damn near ran into each other, I shit you not. We were both walking up towards the top of the small hill, so we didn't see each other until we both crested the hill. Then we were visible to each other. I never heard it coming, it was silent, and as soon as we saw each other, we both stopped walking and froze, facing each other. No thanks. We were about 10 to 15 feet apart. This thing was walking just as smooth as a man, except it was huge, and I mean massive. It was the classic Bigfoot build, 8 to 10 feet tall, covered in dark fur and a huge shoulder width, an extremely powerful build. No humans built like that. Bigfoot was the only damned thing it could have been. It never made a noise. And I sensed that it was just as surprised as I was, and it felt like, oh shit. I've seen what I do. I sensed intelligence as well. I think he meant I've seen what I did. After seeing this, which was about 1 second, I immediately took off back towards my bike, and I saw my friend pulling up on his bike. I was so scared, I screamed, "Go, go, go now!" I took off back home faster than I've ever ridden a bike. I could have beat Lance Armstrong, no problem. I didn't make out facial features on the creature because I was coming off a sunny road into the dark forest looking at a dark hair-covered creature, and my eyes hadn't quite adjusted yet, but there's absolutely no doubt it was a Bigfoot. I was literally 10 to 12 feet from it. Also in about 2012 here in Oregon, I drove deep into the woods to visit Collin Lake by myself one day. It was the off-season, so nobody was around, and that's where I experienced wood knocking for the first time, so one must have been eyeing me. Thanks for all you do, Steve. These things are real, and very interesting to say the least. I'd rather keep my full name out, at least until I retire in just over a year. Okay, man, gotcha. Appreciate that. We always got you here when you want things not shared. And welcome to the club, right? Welcome to the club. Here's another one titled Red, Alabama and Warned. Well, Steve, I'll try to keep this story as short as I can. I grew up in Alabama on my family's 64 acres of land. It's been in our family for 3 generations. We are outdoorsmen. It's always hunted our land for food on the table. That's how we live. My grandfather always told us to stay out of the the hollow past the rock quarry. Don't hunt there or you will die. The hairy man won't come out of there unless you F up and go there. I think I read this. Who knows? Rock quarries, you've had a handful of rock quarry emails though, right? The hairy man won't come out of there unless you F up and go in there. My grandpa never bullshit anyone at any time. I'm 59, I spend most days in the woods, it's part of me. I've seen these beings through my scope, and even up close one evening. Come on, get out of here. I was on top of the mountain one evening before it started to get dark. I saw the hairy man walking into their cave with a large buck on his shoulder. 2 grown men would have trouble carrying this huge Bama buck. This giant had no problem with it at all. The daddy of this family is over 7 feet tall and weighs over 400 pounds. It seems like a shit story, but on my kid's life, it's true. My daddy told me not to go there, and I've told my sons not to go there. It's the only way for us to stay alive on our land. Wind. They've got about 10 acres and we've got the rest. My grandpa told me they were there long before he was born. And these uppers are not apes. They are people that have been in hiding for hundreds of years. Only one of us has gone in there. It was my grandpa's brother, and he was ripped to pieces. Yeah, we read this one. And left in a tree for them to find. I just can't win today, can I? Repeat and win. An ant's nest. My grandpa told me about it when I was a kid. It's not just a bullshit story to scare the kids. It's a true story that we take very seriously. I've got grandkids who watch your channel, and they ask that you don't use my full name. Their friends wouldn't believe it, and kids are so cruel to each other. So, thank you for listening to my story, my friend. I'll send you another one soon that happened to my 2 brothers. Keep up the good work and tell our stories. More people need to know what's going on. Thanks again. All right, man. I don't know if you sent me the next one, but I hope you did. If you haven't, please send. Send it. Holy, this is a long one. Hope this wind hasn't screwed it up. This next one's titled Bigfoot. Excuse me. Hey, I'd like to start off by saying thank you for your support. You're very welcome. Okay, I'm a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer in my younger years. And in my younger years, I grew up in the Rockies and the mountains of Southern Oregon. When I was about 14, I went on a quail hunt back up a hill from my dad's property in Oregon. And at the top of the hill is an old Forest Service road that is usually full of quail. On this day, there were none. I walked all the way down to the clear cut, turned around and started my way back. And that's when I heard something following me step by step in the ravine to my left. It's about a 30-40 foot drop, heavily wooded. I'd walk it, I would walk, it would walk. I would stop, it would stop. We did this for about 200 yards. I've been attacked by bears and even deer, and this was definitely bipedal. It's a typo. Anyhow, I got down to where I had to turn in that direction to get back to my dad's property. And there at the bottom, above some blackberry bushes, I could see the outline of a head and some huge shoulders, and I froze. Then I thought it might be my dad or one of my friends messing with me, so I pulled up my 20 gauge and I fired both rounds of birdshot into a thick pine by the trail. Slowly, I saw the head and shoulders turn and walk the way it had came, and then it hit me. The blackberry bushes in that spot are about 7 to 8 feet tall, so I dropped down on my butt at the top and waited until the noise of footfalls were barely heard and stood up and made a run for it. To this day, it still sends shivers up my spine. And I got one more from when I was about 16, if I can keep from rambling. This was in the same area on my dad's property. He had a 3-bedroom ranch, and my stepbrother and I were sharing a room. It didn't work out too well, so my dad had me move out to the camper by the woodshed. It was a new cab over truck camper, and I was thrilled. Well, I'd been in it for about 3 weeks, and one night, about 11 p.m., my dad's hunting dog started going nuts. So I was thinking a bear or a cougar maybe. I flipped over and started to put my shorts on and grab the flashlight when I heard someone coming up the driveway. The driveway had pea gravel on it, and I could hear it was on 2 feet. Well, thinking it was my dad's neighbor, I continued to get my shorts on when a shadow hit the upper window of the sleeper. It blocked all the light. I found this strange because my dad will only block out some of the light in that window, being as close. I slowly wiggled myself to the curtain covering the window and pulled it as quietly as I could, and my jaw hit the floor. I was looking at the upper thigh and side stomach of something very hairy. The moon shining off the hair almost made it look grayish black, but I think it was brown in color. Again, freaking out, I rolled over onto my back as it started moving and kept my eyes on the door to the camper, just knowing it was going to come in. But I could hear it moving off towards the back entrance to the property. When the sun came up, I beelined it to the house, and my dad was standing in the living room talking to Chet, the neighbor, saying something got into his chicken coop and there were tracks. So we called the wildlife rangers. They came out and investigated and really interrogated my father and the neighbor for about an hour. Never talked to me, but when they left, Chet turned and looked at me and said, "Now you have seen him too. Welcome to the club." We never did hear back from the BLM or wildlife officer for about 4 months. They had this truck on the back road with 2 motorcycles in the bed. Keep up the good work. Yours truly, CMC Wheeler, retired. Welcome to the club is right. Endless. What's this? Mark this as red. Sasquatch sighting, 1977, APG, Maryland? MD? Is that Maryland? U.S. Army Military Base. Hey Steve. Big thank yous to you and all who share their encounters. I've been wanting to send this for a long time, but succinctness, this is not my strong suit, so I kept putting it off. Well, here I go. To my sighting. In 1977, I was 11, and I lived on the military base Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland. We lived at the end of post, where about a half a mile of woods behind our houses emptied into Chesapeake Bay tidal inlets, or the open bay. Behind my house was a lane, then 30 feet of grass, then the wood line. Our garage was on the grass strip, the woods behind it. It was fall and dark after dinner, and I had to put my bike away in the garage. I put my bike in, closed the doors, and as I was closing the paddock, I felt kind of creeped out. I walked across the lane to our back sidewalk when I saw something moving behind an old wood pile at the wood's edge. And to the right of the garage, about 40-ish feet or so, our back porch light was on, so I couldn't see clearly, but it looked like a tall person was hunched over looking at me. The corner of the wood pile was about as tall as me, around 5 feet. I thought it was this 8th grade boy from down the street who always teased everyone. He was pretty tall. His whole family were super tall of Nordic descent, and I yelled, "Hey, fungi!" I won't explain that nickname, huh? I see you. Stop trying to scare me. The figure then withdrew into the woods without making a sound, which I thought was weird. I then ran in the house and told my brother that someone was behind the woodpile and went into the woods. Next morning, we caught the bus at 6 a.m. We went to a private and Catholic schools that were about an hour away. The bus pulled out of our loop road onto a main road and had to stop as they were doing some kind of road work. Sitting on the right side of the bus and looking out the window, I could see through an opening in the woods down into a tidal inlet. The inlet sits around 50 feet or so below surrounding land and elevation. The inlet is shaped like an arrowhead. I was viewing it from the tip of said arrowhead. This inlet is probably as large as 4 or 5 football fields, and I saw a large creature walking down the center of the inlet with its back to me. It was walking along in the direction of the open bay. I had no doubt what I was seeing. It looked dark brown, but overall also gray, like the hair was tipped with gray all over. Over the years, this puzzled me, as I had no idea there were gray Sasquatches until the internet age. I viewed the creature for probably 10 seconds. Then the bus began to pull away. I went up to my brother in front and told him what I saw. I believe the woodpile event the night before was related. And I saw Bungie the next day, and he swore he wasn't out the previous evening. And for those who may think I saw someone in a ghillie suit, not possible. Aberdeen Proving Ground is just that, a proving ground for ballistics, munitions, and heaven only knows what else. People aren't out hunting, especially around Officers' Row, or anywhere on that post. Over the years, I've talked about Bigfoots with anyone who is game and have heard a few stories of people's encounters in Maryland, specifically Harford County, which borders York County, PA, by the way. Been living in Vermont for the last 25 years. And began noticing tree structures here in Mad River Valley, and quite frankly, all over Vermont. Like you, Steve, I have absolutely no interest in searching for these creatures, although I cannot help but see their sign, or signs of the others. Who knows? I'm Christian. I've had a few supernatural events in my life, age 3 and age 11, where I woke to a large, dark figure like a Sasquatch at my bedside. Weird. I have no desire to open myself to this beyond what I can't help but see. Shout out Scott Carpenter. I'm a horticulturist with a fine gardening business here in the valley, and many of my clients' homes are up the mountainsides. Have had a few strange events at one account and some others, but this is already too long. Sorry, not sorry. Suffice to say, I believe they know when you know something's up. I could ruminate for hours. Blessings to you, Sarah, and all you love and hold dear. Many, many thanks for all you do on this topic, as well as our current global situation. Prayers, Jen Grant Malinowski. P.S. Pertaining to the tidal flat. We kids played in the woods and down along the banks all year long. Huge 2 to 3 foot carp would come into the flats to feed at high tide, then leave as the tide went out. Sometimes we would get stuck, they would get stuck, and we would free them. It was low tide when I saw the Sasquatch. No human could walk in that mud, believe me. We sunk to our knees once or twice and knew to stay away from most areas, unless you wanted to explain to your parents why you lost another pair of shoes. How a huge Sasquatch could walk in that inlet at their weight and not sink is beyond me. But I know what I saw. Wind. But I know what I saw, and that thing was walking straight down the middle. Super weird. There you go. Had to move. I found this no-wind spot behind the horse trailer here. There's one of those black buck things. I'm running around behind me. Maybe he'll walk up behind me. Who knows? I don't know. Okay. Where was I? Mark this as red. 2 U.S. Army colonels have an encounter. Steve, I'm a true believer and a huge fan of yours. I've been watching your videos for a long time, and after hearing all about all these people being attacked for coming forward, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Sweet. Love reading that. I'm a retired Army colonel with 31 years of active military service. During my career, I served in both infantry and special operations units. I've been an avid outdoorsman and hunter since I was 12 years old. I probably spent more time in the woods in my life than all these BF blah blah butt munchers have combined. If it lives in the woods, I've probably seen it, heard it, smelled it, or eaten it. That being said, I recently had an encounter while deer hunting with a close friend of mine, a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, that left us both rattled. My hunting partner and I served together in the Army, and we've hunted elk and deer together for almost 20 years. Neither of us ever experienced anything like this before. On this day, we were hunting a controlled access area on a military reservation in Virginia that is off limits to most civilians. The hunting areas are restricted to limit the amount of hunters into them at one time. When we logged into the area, we were the only 2 hunters in it. This particular area is remote and is surrounded by nothing but thousands upon thousands of acres of hardwoods, swamps, streams, and ponds. By the time we were done hunting, in back of the truck it was nearly pitch black, and we were both standing at the back of my truck, loading up our gear, when we heard a commotion in the woods where we had just been hunting that sounded like someone or something was running very fast toward us through the pitch black forest. The sound got closer and closer to us until I thought whatever was running toward us was about to break out of the forest and into the open where we were standing, when suddenly it stopped. It got eerily quiet, and Rob and I were looking at each other like, what the F is that? We were both standing there frozen and looking into the blackness, waiting to hear or see whatever had made the noise, when suddenly we heard a loud scream coming from where the sound of running had stopped that scared the shit out of us both. Whatever was screaming / yelling repeated it for another 5 or 6 times. Each time it got further and further away from us, like it was walking back the way it came. Then, when I thought it couldn't possibly get any scarier, I heard a whistle. This sounded like whoever or whatever was whistling was still there on the edge of the woods and was looking right at us. Rob has hearing loss and couldn't hear the frequency of the whistle, but I sure as hell did. It whistled at us for 5 or 6 more times, then stopped, and it got deathly quiet. And I mean, there were no sounds at all. Rob and I quickly finished loading our gear and then jumped in the truck and hauled ass out of there. I went back the next day by myself to see if I could find any tracks or signs, but found nothing. I spent the rest of the day hunting in that same area, hoping to find answers, but I never did. I don't know what we heard, but neither of us had heard it ever before. I hope my story helps others to find the courage to come forward and share their experiences. Sincerely, Roger L., Colonel, USA, retired. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much. Now, one thing is, when people write in and give locations like that, they kick the door wide open for other people who were there as well, or have been, or previous, or after, whatever, to have some kind of confirmation or feel a little more confident to share what they experience as well, right? Alright, quick interruption. No big deal. Hi, Steve. I think you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Although I've never seen one of these things, I can tell you briefly of 2 times I was followed by something in the woods. You see, I'm an avid hunter, Army vet of 7 years, and 30 years state comp. Based on my hunting experiences, advanced military training, and 30-year police career, I think I have a better than average ability to feel my surroundings when something is wrong. You see, in the Army, we are primarily patrol at night in all terrains: forest, jungle, mountains, and desert. In fact, we ruled the night. As a cop, day-to-day survival requires a unique set of senses to perform duties in all situations. And as a hunter, much time is spent traversing the forest in low light or dark conditions. I've always been very comfortable and confident navigating and traversing the forest at night alone. While hunting in Michigan's Upper Peninsula a few years ago, I was walking to my blind at 4:30 or 5 a.m. Oh, dark 30. Get out of there. Damn it. Oh, dark 30. in any event. I remember the woods being dead calm, not even a breeze. I loaded my rifle and started my walk to the blind, about a mile walk. And as I walked up the trail into the wood, I had that sense I was being watched. I stopped, looked around, but nothing. I continued to the blind, but I felt that immense pressure of something watching and following me. I could not see nor hear anything, but just knew something was there. I've always prided myself in my abilities in the woods at night, and my ability to stalk and track. And it occurred to me that I was being stalked. Then it occurred to me that I was being stalked by something far better than I, which made a shiver go up my spine. I did make it to my blind without incident. However, my rifle never left my hands. Shortly after daybreak, I could literally feel the pressure of being watched lift. The forest started to feel more normal, and the forest noises came back. Slowly at first, then became normal. Whatever had followed me appeared to be gone. And this happened to me one other time, maybe 5 years ago in the same area. I won't bore you with the details, and that is pretty much the same story. The bottom line is that something was stalking and watching me. Something far better than me. I could not see it, could not hear it. I even tried to track it later in the day, but I could not obtain a tramway or anything. It's very odd. Now, we do have wolves, coyotes, mountain lions, and bear, but the reality is coyote and bear run away. Wolves may watch for a bit, but typically avoid human contact and are easily spotted scurrying ridgelines. We have so few mountain lions, I find it hard to think a big cat was following me. I could see a big cat watching me pass through, but not stalking. I have no idea what was out there in those 2 times. It has certainly made me pause for a minute to check my senses before I enter the woods at night. To this day, oh my god, these bugs. To this day, those 2 mornings are still in the forefront of my memory when I walk into the woods at night, as I often do live, I have no idea. It has certainly made me pause for a minute to check my senses before I enter the woods at night. To this day, those 2 mornings are still in the forefront of my memory when I walk into the woods at night, as I often do live in the woods. It's just something I push through, probably as a matter of not wanting to be restrained, and as a matter of pride. I think you have spoken about this in your videos. It's just something I push through, probably as a matter of not wanting to be restrained, and as a matter of pride. I think you have spoken about this in your videos. Just thought I would share that with you. Keep up the great work. Take care, Jim. Appreciate that, Jim. The kind words especially. Encouragement. Appreciate it all. Cats, wolves, bears, they don't make the woods go silent. Sorry, they don't. For everybody who thinks they do out there, they don't. They don't. What's this? Okay, I'm going to read one more. These bugs are driving me bonkers. Quick side note, the man Rusty who owns this place, he said that there's a compound somewhere around here, not his place, but another neighboring ranch somewhere. They had a pair of leopards in a compound, and there's a storm and a tree blew over and knocked the compound open, and they escaped. Could you imagine the stuff that's running around the state of Texas right now from escaped animals that were shipped in? Can you imagine how much fun those leopards are having right now? They're running around these woods out here somewhere, killing the shit out of everything and not having to worry in the world. Literally, sort of. That'd be something else to run into a leopard out here, wouldn't it? Though there's 2 of them running around. Who knows what else? Alright, one more. Memories of youth in Northern California. Steve, hello. My experience is as follows. Oh my god, you guys, this is crazy. Leave me alone. Why just my ears? Land everywhere else. Where you get my, it's one ear, other ear, one ear, other ear. Shit. My experience as follows. I remember what was put off as deer stomping around. As an 11-year-old, I knew nothing for comparison. I accepted the explanation, and the unique event wasn't thought or spoke of after it was over. Holy shit. Really? Ear to ear while I'm reading? I'm almost ready to throw in the towel. During one of our camping trips to the family cabin located in Calistoga, Northern California, the family was gathered at the hammock and garden chairs fire pit area just adjacent to the side of our cabin. Behind the cabin there is an abrupt steep hill, not accessible by humans. It is just too steep and covered in thick tall brush, grass, stickers, poison oak, large rocks, oak and pine trees. This is the area where the ruckus came from that Saturday in May or June of 1974. We were sitting in, conversing, relaxing in the country air after breakfast when all of a sudden the loudest explosion of stomping and huffing noises, accompanied with what sounded like boulders being hurled to the ground with much force, then rolled. Crashing sounds. Cracking of breaking limbs, stomping and stomping. Startled, asked my dad, "What is that? What is doing that?" I know everyone else heard what just transpired. The noises sounded like it had to be something huge, with much weight and great strength and anger. Nonchalantly, my dad replied, "Deer," and dismissed my alarm as if he really thought deer were the culprit. The loud ruckus over, and with my back to the previous mentioned hill, swinging in the hammock, something began throwing pebbles my way, and they were hitting me. Something's throwing rocks at me. That, too, is attributed to squirrels dropping their pebbles off one of the branches of the giant oak tree directly above me. The activity stopped as quickly as it started. We went about the day enjoying the Calistoga countryside, never to speak of this odd experience again. One thing though, I always had trouble sleeping when I was there at the cabin. I would wake up at 1 a.m. or so, just wide awake, terrified, scared, feeling like something menacing was watching me. Something would provoke fear in me, enough to make me wide awake. Something that was outside. And in those wee hours of the silent dark morning, I would try to wish the fear away. I'd pull my blankets tighter around me and close my eyes, praying for safety. Eventually, mercifully, I would fall back to sleep. Upon waking the next day, I would forget about the terror of the night before, and I would enjoy the countryside and play in the creek that ran through our property. However, again, the fear would awaken me, and a repeat of the same scenario the night before would play out. Isn't it interesting that these interactions with Sasquatch would be quickly forgotten? Easily dismissed as some other animal or other than what it actually is, forgotten by all who experienced the event. Only as an adult, recollecting my time spent at the cabin in Calistoga, do I now know beyond a shadow of a doubt what it was that provided these experiences I had. There were other clues Bigfoot was afoot about the cabin, but for the sake of keeping this anecdote to a readable minimum, I refrain from adding more details submitted here. Thank you. It's the first time I've related my experience to anyone in the detail as I have in this email. Maybe my story will jar the memory of a listener of something strange, yet almost lost, once forgotten, concerning an experience buried deep, brought up for recollection to be shared at the round table of knowledge, maybe. Sincerely, Susan Wester. P.S. You can use my name. Susan, appreciate your email. Oh my God, you guys, I don't appreciate these bugs. I can't take it. Oh my God, I can't take it. No more. No more. I'm going to throw it in the towel. Done. It's tough out here in this land. Is these rolling hills and these scrub oaks, you call them. They're short oak trees, but there's just no tree. Like, at home I can find big timber and hide behind a tree or something, but there's nothing here. It's just constant breeze and wind blowing through everywhere. Too loud for the camera, too much for the camera, and now that I'm hiding behind the horse trailer here out of the wind, the bugs are frickin' driving me crazy. Oh, I tried. Better than nothing, right? But anyway. Share my story. Get it to me. Share my story at howdhunt.com. And I don't know where we're going tomorrow. I might be able to come back here tomorrow, but I think we might be going somewhere. I'm not sure. And when we leave here, we're going back to Alabama, and then I'm flying home, so it's not looking too good for meeting up with anybody from here, is it? We'll see how it goes and what comes and what plays out. These bugs are evil, little bastards. Sorry, you guys. Sorry, I tried. Man, they're trying harder than me, though. That's it. I'm out of here. Hopefully, I'll be back tomorrow. Somewhere less buggy.
I think it'd be cool to chase them